So I covered, I think, 5 straight Mayweather fights from 2007 to 2010, the last one coming against Shane Mosley when Mayweather was 33.
Mhm.
And perhaps that was a more prime Floyd Mayweather. I think all indications are that it was a more prime Floyd Mayweather, but that seems to be the great unknown from Al and from other people, Kenny, is what exactly are we going to see from Floyd Mayweather? What exactly has his training camp held? And can he avoid a flat night? Because the one thing you can say about Floyd, for the most part, 49 nights, Ken Flo, he's never been flat once.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, his defense is just impeccable. He's going to need that against Conor, who I think is going to come like a bat out of hell in those first few rounds. And if you're going to catch Floyd, it's going to be early.
So want to get into this Mayweather-McGregor stuff here, Ken Flo, and I'm not going to get too technical with you, but I am a little bit. I just want to know about Conor McGregor's stance because I defer to all the experts in my life like yourself as to these matters, and I know what his stance is for MMA, but if you can maybe describe a little bit what his stance is for mixed martial arts and how it may or may not change now that he embarks on a boxing career for however long.
Well, I think it's going to be a little bit different. I think he'll be a little bit more upright. I don't think which means his feet aren't going to be so far apart. I think his feet are very far apart, mostly because he wants to be able to defend takedowns. He wants to be at a lower level, and I think in boxing he doesn't have to worry about that. So I think he's going to be a little bit more narrow to protect his center line, especially against someone like Floyd Mayweather. And I also think he's going to do a lot of things that we've never seen Conor McGregor do in mixed martial arts, and I think he needs to. I think he's going to be switching stances, number one. Typically, he fights mainly from the southpaw stance in mixed martial arts. And I think that for this boxing match, I think we're going to see him switch stances a lot, and I think he's going to do a lot of unusual movements. We might see some capoeira thrown in there. And the reason he needs to, John, is because he can't take the approach of boxing someone like Floyd Mayweather, right? I mean, if you go in there and you don't have any fighter jets and you don't have any tanks, well, your only option is to go in there and just go hand to hand, right? And just use your guns and do your best in that realm. And I think that that's what Conor needs to do. He needs to do something unusual. He needs to take kind of a guerrilla approach and throw something at Floyd Mayweather that he's never seen before, especially early on. If you go in there with your traditional boxing stance and you try to box someone like Floyd Mayweather, especially, what Conor's been training for this match in the last few months. Is he going to up his boxing skills to the point where he's going to beat a master boxer like Floyd Mayweather, one of the best of all time? No, he's got to throw something unusual. So I expect him to be jumping around. I expect him to be spinning around. I mean, who knows what Conor's going to do, but I think he needs to do that to throw someone like Floyd off.
Can he feint a kick, right? There's nothing in the rule set that would prevent him from feinting a kick, right? I mean,
absolutely.
You talk about him invoking some capoeira techniques, right? I mean, he can jump at him and try to, get Floyd off or try to change the complexion of things, right? You can feint a kick.
Absolutely. Absolutely you can. And I think he needs to do something very unusual, especially early on. Jump on him, throw a lot of different stances and looks to try to get on the inside. And I guess just to go a little bit further, I think when we've seen Floyd Mayweather caught with a good shot, it's usually on his lead hand. His left hand, because he's in that Philly shell, he'll drop that lead left hand many times. And he uses his shoulder to roll punches, to slip, to get off that center line, move his head. But he does get caught because that arm is down. We've seen him get caught. I saw him eat some clean shots against De La Hoya. He ate some clean shots against Maidana. Mosley caught him on that side as well. That kind of buckled his legs a little bit. So I think for Conor, I think in a lot of ways, if he's in the southpaw stance, he needs to use that right hook to try to catch him. But I think that's why we will see Conor in that traditional stance, in the righty stance, where he can land that right hand on that left hook side of Mayweather.
So Conor McGregor, he is bigger. We like that. He's younger. I like that as well. He is seemingly very healthy, looks to be in great shape. Again, trying not to read too much into what we see and what we don't. He's motivated by the fact that he's a new father, which I think doesn't hurt his matters here. As far as Floyd Mayweather is concerned, Kenny, we've heard rumblings that, maybe he's not taking this training camp as seriously as others. Obviously, Showtime All Access is a great show, and Ollie Stokes and the rest of the team do a great job. But it's also a show that maybe is framed by its executive producer, Floyd Mayweather, in some parts. So the fact that he's on roller skates and doing all sorts of fun things and not in Vegas for 8 or 12 weeks, I'm not sure that's that big of a deal, right? In terms of this guy's work ethic, we really haven't been given any indication that it's not still there. And the few photos we have seen physically, Floyd looks like, as chiseled as ever.
No, absolutely. He looks like he's in great shape. And he's a guy that he has so many years of experience over pretty much every single boxer out there. I think in his mind, if he probably didn't train for a month straight, he'd still get the jump on pretty much everybody. He knows how to protect himself. He knows how to counter still. For me, the question marks for me is how is he going to do after a 2-year layoff? How is he going to do at 40 years old? He is a guy that obviously his timing is phenomenal, but he does rely on reaction time and he does rely on speed. As you get older, those things certainly diminish. So I'm curious to see how Floyd comes back from that and how sharp he's going to be. I think he's a very sharp puncher, certainly not a knockout puncher, but he definitely has sting. He definitely has sting to his shots, and he makes you feel silly out there. We've also seen Floyd kind of later in his career, similar to Anderson Silva, he'll back up against the ropes, and he does that for a couple different reasons. He basically wants to take away your confidence and show that, listen, I'm in the worst, most vulnerable position possible, and I'm going to protect myself. I'm going to make you miss. I'm going to land some shots and make you look stupid. But he also does that because he gets the other guy to work, and he's doing that because he is getting a little bit older. I think he does that as well because he wants you to work, but he doesn't want to work as much either. So I think he does that in attempt, a lot like Anderson Silva, to kind of slow the pace down a little bit, and it gets him to not have to exert so much energy. And I think that's because he is getting older.
It's all very interesting for me to hear, and I think for Floyd Mayweather too. You haven't heard much about the 50-0, right? He doesn't seem to be prioritizing that, at least in his head. I feel like he's never been a guy that's really been afraid to lose as much as he has just refused to lose. And even when he has faced adversity, like against Shane Mosley, immediately mops the floor with the guy the remaining 8 or 9 rounds. But I don't know, man. I think that increasingly as this fight gets closer, I feel even more confident about Conor McGregor's chances because of a lot of things that you and I have outlined over the last month. When he talks about himself, Kenny, as a lifelong boxer, and I'm talking about Conor McGregor, right? And they're showing you the Crumlin Boxing Club and everything else, right? When he talks about himself as a boxer from an early age, and he's dripping with confidence about his ability, it's hard for me to not go to www.sportsbook.ag and just unload on the guy, right? And again, I'm trying to not look at it from a skewed perspective, but I just believe in the guy to a great deal, and the power of his mind accompanied with everything else that makes this package makes him a very dangerous man in any combat setting against any man his weight.
Well, that's the way it comes across, right? I mean, every single time. And when you look at the history of Conor McGregor and how he said he was going to do all these things before he was in the UFC, that he was going to make a boatload of money and become a 2-division champion, and he goes out and does those things, you start to go, well, wait a sec. Who am I to doubt this guy? This guy has done everything he said he was going to do. The power of belief is a powerful thing, and I think he has that warrior edge. He isn't approaching this like a boxer. He's approaching this like a martial artist, like a warrior, saying it doesn't matter what it is. This is just going to be one skill set, but my mind and my ability to fight is going to be the difference. It's a much less, I think, it's a less scary thing dealing with someone who's trying to flying knee you or take you down and elbow your face into the canvas than it is to go out there with padded gloves in a boxing ring, no matter who you're facing. And Floyd's the kind of guy that, okay, yes, he can make you look silly. He's very slick, but he's not the guy who's going to pummel you to the point where you're not going to be able to speak the next day. That can be the case for a lot of other boxers. So I think for Conor, he's not even worried about that. He doesn't feel like he's going against a smaller guy in Floyd Mayweather. He's not concerned. He still believes he's going to win this fight. I mean, I think if he went in there against a prime Mike Tyson, in Conor's head, he probably thinks he's going to win the fight. So he carries in that confidence of a warrior, that confidence of a martial artist. He keeps referencing Bruce Lee, saying this is going to be some Bruce Lee shit and blah, blah, blah. because he does see this as this challenge, this martial artist challenge. He's going to go into someone else's realm and see what he can bring to the table, and he's going to bring something unusual. That is for sure, and I think he's going to come out hot in those early rounds and try to catch Floyd. I think that's his best bet. The longer this fight goes, obviously, the more it favors Floyd. That goes for Floyd against pretty much anyone out there. Floyd is a computer. He analyzes you. He sees what you're going to do out there, and once he figures you out, you're done. So I think Conor's best bet is to go out there early, throw a lot of the unusual things, and try to catch Floyd with something he's never seen before. And it's not going to be a traditional boxing approach. He will use different martial arts techniques to try to catch him. Can it be done? I don't know. He only has his hands, and Floyd has seen a lot of hands thrown his way. But if there's someone who could do it, it's going to be Conor.
So there seem to be two